Heidi Everhart from Friedberg Moravian Church, and one I'm presenting, I taught at this APCE, and the other one is one that I went to. The one I went to was Nurturing the Streams of Generosity, and from the description and from what was in there, it was completely different. I probably wouldn't have necessarily gone to this one. It talked a lot about financial giving. So that was the generosity that they talked about, which was fine. I didn't glean as much from it. There is one thing that I did. So you have a lot of my notes from there, but the one thing that I took away from it that I'm ready to approach our trustees about at our church is called the Birthday Fund. Have any of y'all heard of the Birthday Fund? Oh my gosh, it is amazing. So on your birthday, and it's kind of funny that today is mine. On your birthday, usually you get things or, people tell you things, that kind of stuff. Well, the birthday fund within a church is that on your birthday. So today I would give the year that I'm turning, so I'm turning 40, so I would give $40 to whatever ministry that I would want to within the church. And that is what the birthday fund is. So you're giving of yourself on a special day. And so each year, whatever age you turn, you go to whatever fund you want to go to with that money. I think that's like a really easy and fun way for the church to get some extra funds for different things. And the church can't tell you, no, it can't go there. We need it more over here. It is whatever you want it to go to. So since I work in the children's ministry, if I choose every year to put it in the children's ministry, that's my choice. But the children's ministry would get $40 this year, $41 next year, and so on and so forth. And the hope would be that each member of the congregation would do that. So you look at your church size, think about the money that could come in on that. So that was the one big thing that I gleaned from that workshop, which was, I thought, pretty fun and pretty exciting. The other one is the one that I taught, and it's Quenching Your Thirst Through Words. And the main thing about this workshop was that I wanted to open up eyes to everyone to not necessarily use biblically based books. And I know that sounds kind of crazy when you're thinking of church, but as everybody's talked about already, you aren't going to reach them always in the church. So you need to go outside of the church and reach them. One way to do that is through books. They read books every day at school, so why not bring some of those books within the church to really point out some topics of Jesus, topics within the Bible, things like that, on an easier way. And I base this more for kids because I work with kids, but you can always do some of those tougher topics and bring in a children's book of just regular topic and use it with adults, youth and adults as well. And one that I actually did within the workshop was Know David. Have y'all heard of that book? I think it's David Shannon. I think I have the right person there. Anyway, he gets into all the mischief and all that kind of stuff, but in the end, his mom still hugs him and says, "I love you, David." Yes, I do, So thinking of that for adults, you could always do the Saul to Paul transition there. But for kids, is what I did is I presented it as the 10 Commandments. So learning to follow rules, learning to obey, things like that. So that's what I did in there. But in your packet, you've got a lesson breakdown of kind of how I look at different children's books and pull in ideas that we can do. So the very first thing is I think of the ideas and topics that could be done. So for example, the Know David book, following directions, obeying, love, forgiveness, anything that could possibly go in there, because I might use this book for another topic. The Bible connections, what things would connect with that story from some of those ideas that I did in the first one. So the 10 Commandments, Saul, Paul, prodigal son, I'm trying to think of the different ones that are in there. I'll make sure the PowerPoint that I did gets to you and we can attach it to whatever goes out. So I pull together all the Bible connections and then I think of which one I'm really going to focus on that second step. So then I take it and go into the activities section and pull in whatever kind of activities I can think of. I'll go searching on the internet. I think of them off the top of my head. whoever can give me an idea, I throw it in there. And for the No David lesson, I did the 10 Commandments song. I found a couple of things from Oriental Trading that dealt with 10 Commandments. I did a matching where it was a picture and then the 10 Commandments, so they had to match it up with it. So anything you can think of with whatever topic to be able to pull it in. And then the wrap up is just basically how are you going to pull it all together, whether it's going to take one setting or if it's going to take a month to do, 2 months, whatever it is, how are you going to wrap it up? And then with No David, wrapped it up that no matter what we do, no matter what 10 Commandment we might kind of fall short of, God is still there. He is still there loving us the whole way through it. He's hoping that we're going to kind of come back around and get it together and be able to follow that better the next time. So that was the wrap up that I did with No David. Then the group within the workshop actually had some time at the end to create their own. I brought a bunch of just children's books, and they got to create some of their own with another 1 or 2 people. You have all of the ones that they created so that you've got some different ones on there for you to kind of go ahead and see. I am working on the other books that I took that did not get chosen on having those. It's taken me a little bit longer than I anticipated. So once I get those, y'all can get that copy too. But the last thing in this packet, which I thought was really eye-opening, I saw this a long time ago and I brought it back into this workshop, is by Catherine Montgomery. She's the Director of Children's Formation and Family Ministries, and I actually did not put the church. And off the top of my head, I can't remember what church she's from. Anyway, and I'll read it to you. So just think about it as I'm reading this. Is there anything better than a beautiful children's book? I still remember my favorites as a child of the 70s. Where the Wild Things Are, The Snowy Day, Goodnight Moon, Everything by Shel Silverstein, and so many more. When my children were younger, we would often come home from a library with a stack of books up to my chin. We couldn't get enough of Eric Carle or Dr. Seuss. Every colorful cover called to us from the shelves. As any parent knows, reading with a child is about much more than developing reading skills. It's about being still together, quiet, free of distractions, for a moment to enter a world of beautifully simple words and captivating illustrations. It's one of those rare moments of absolute presence that we know children and adults alike crave. Perhaps something even deeper is happening for children when they experience a story. In his book, Read the Bible for a Change, author Ray Lubeck says, narrative structure is essential not only for effective communication, but for thinking itself. When children ask to hear a story, it's not simply a biological craving for amusement or a demand for attention. It arises out of a genuine human need to make sense of the disparate experiences of our lives. And that need is addressed in storytelling. Through stories, we learn how to see patterns. We learn about cause and effect. We learn how to discover the consequences of our choices, our sense of right and wrong, and of what is most important and least valuable in life. All of these are shaped for us by the stories we hear and then live. Those of you who have served as storytellers in Godly Play, our Sunday school program for ages 3 through 2nd grade, have no doubt experienced this firsthand. Children are endlessly able to enter a story and find themselves inside of it. Perhaps this is a taste of what Jesus meant when he said we must become like children in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. Whether your children are wiggly toddlers or lanky tweens, I invite you to discover these beautiful books together. Cell phones silent, or even better, in another room, and TVs off. Find a cozy spot and open a book together. So Jesus can be kind of a hard thing, especially for kids. But if you pull in some simpler things and then start diving into some of those tougher topics, and that's what these ordinary books can do, it can become easier and it can become more meaningful for the whole family and for the whole church to be able to do.